I've got three hats, actually. I'm a director of pilot systems. We're into interoperable technology, communicating with the meters, allowing you to replace different technology and it still works within the system. That's pilot systems. ESTA, Alan's already explained, a trade association of vendors, primarily on the demand side, helping reduce demand. And I'm the founder of a new group, the Open Pipe Group, with a passion for making sure that this rollout of smart meters is kept open, accessible to everybody. So I guess I'm a bit of a challenger. We've heard from the industrial sector for smart meters, where essentially you can justify what you pay. You know, you spend a bit of money on smart meters and you get the money back. We've heard from Andy on the domestic side, and generally on the domestic side at the moment, it's the people with a passion for saving energy. Perhaps they don't save money, or maybe they do, but in terms of having to spend the money and the return on investment, most people aren't convinced. And my presentation's really on the government's view that if you know more about your energy and if you have access to this, then you will save money. And government took a decision about 5 years ago now, or even 6 years ago, to mandate smart metering across the UK. So it's a massive spend, absolutely massive spend, but it will cover every premises in the UK. And what we've got to do, and I've taken it as my personal challenge, not only because I happen to live in West London and it's only a 20-minute bike ride into Whitehall to lobby to to some of the civil servants there and some of the energy suppliers, but also I do believe it's something that we should own as consumers. We're going to be paying for it. It's 12 billion is the bill now. It was, I stood up last year and gave a similar presentation. I'm giving you an update this year. It's gone up by £1 billion. So you know that's about £600 each per premises that we're going to be paying. Now we've got to make sure that that spend will serve us as consumers, will help us reduce our energy consumption, will give us the access to the data that we need. And not only us the access, but people we choose to help us save energy. So they might be third-party consultants, they might be people with equipment, many of whom are exhibiting here, to connect up to what we have in the home. And we need to be able to have complete flexibility to say, look, yes, you can connect to my kit, or I don't want there's a privacy issue as well, you know, I don't want my energy information to be displayed to all the energy companies, for example. They shouldn't have that as a right. So it's the whole consumer engagement process, and I think we're very, very young with this at the moment. I mean, the issues haven't even hit Parliament yet. It's a very, very small group of primarily energy suppliers and a select group of their suppliers, you know, who are their customers, basically. And we need to make sure that's opened out, respecting, of course, the security and the privacy and the national infrastructure and the reliability of such a beast. So it's a bit of an update, really. I wanted to give you. This is the smart metering infrastructure, and I think things have moved on a little bit. The bit on the left there, the home, that's going to be the responsibility primarily of the energy supplier. So they will put in a smart meter and put in a HAN and a WAN and an IHD, an in-home display. That's their responsibility. In the centre there, you've got the WAN, or the wide area network, which takes data from the home up to whoever needs it for regulatory purposes. And this was called the DCC, or the Data Communications Company. Bids have gone out now for DCC, and the way the model's turning out is that there will be probably 3 communications service providers in different areas of the country, and this will be a monopoly service provision, centrally controlled, so it's centrally bid for by government. I've said that there is an increase in cost. The main challenges at the moment are that. Well, perhaps if I just tell you some of the other developments, one of the main ones is interoperability, making sure that, you know, the house on the left, if one supplier installs equipment, smart metering equipment, and you want to change supplier, so you want to change from British Gas to E.ON or EDF, that kit has still got to work. In other words, you don't want the new supplier to come along, rip out the previous supplier's kit, put their kit in order for you to continue receiving the benefits from smart metering. Now that has a very long term. It's called interoperability. And it's something that the industry hasn't got yet. We need to get that. We've got suppliers who are rolling out kit that only works with their systems and doesn't work with anybody else's. And in fact, there's one leading supplier that's actually been told by government that this year that the rollout, the existing rollout, won't count for their smart metering rollout. Now, whether the consumer will have to pay for that or not, we don't know. One of the other problems is, of course, that you don't see the costs for smart metering in your bill. So in other words, you'll get your bill, it'll go up by, well, what is it, 60 quid a year, between 60 and 100 pounds a year. You won't, probably very unlikely to see that as being a smart metering cost. And we believe that's a barrier to market, because it does mean that anybody who's in the metering business that wants to provide that service to the consumer doesn't get an equal, equal crack of the whip, because nobody knows how to compare to. Now, at one of the meetings in Whitehall last week, or the chairman of the metering group was asked what are the three main issues covering in smart metering and holding things back at the moment. And these are the HAN selection, the home area network selection. So in other words, the radio frequency, the type of system that's going to be used in the home to communicate with the meters and the in-home display, and the module that's transmitted, and the WAN module that transmits to the back to the supplier. That hasn't been selected yet. Security, that's a main feature. It really covers two aspects. It covers the fact that each meter will have a remote switch off. So in the electricity meter there'll be a contactor, and in the gas meter there will be a valve. And this is for not only network purposes, making sure that the network can be de-stressed, but it's also, there is a potential that this is used for credit control purposes. In other words, that you could be switched to a prepayment system at the flick of a switch. So if you don't pay your bills, your electricity could be switched off. Now that's controversial, but that's the proposal that's coming at the moment from the energy suppliers, and it's something that we believe needs to be challenged, because, you know, at the end of the day, if you've got a meter there and suppliers are given the opportunity to switch off their supply to you, then on the other hand, you as a consumer should be given the privilege to switch off your demand to them and switch to another supplier easily and simply using the equipment that's actually in the home. Interoperability, it's not there yet. We're pushing for it. Let me show you some of the benefits, and you know, we do believe the benefits are there, and you will save more than you pay for smart metering, and UK as a whole will benefit. But we have a real problem in the commercial, the areas, the stakeholders, the way the value is being presented, the way the system is being specified. It's not going to properly realise those benefits. And if you have a look at some of the benefits there, I quite like this diagram, because on the right-hand side you've got benefits to the supplier, so he doesn't have to send meter readings around anymore, network management. Left-hand side, consumer energy management, contract negotiations, supplier switching, and of course some of them are of benefit too. Now you have got a lot of other services there that we haven't even thought of yet. Andy's mentioned some of them. In fact, Andy's listed quite a few. Most of these aren't covered and haven't even been considered by the smart metering programme yet. Now, we believe that they should be, or we believe that they shouldn't be excluded with a cost spending of £12 billion. You would think that sort of thing should be we should get right. Electrical vehicles, photo cells, exporting energy, water metering, heat metering. All these things just are not being considered at the moment, and we believe they should be. One issue that has come up, and I do think does identify the need for better consumer engagement, and that is earlier this year, the energy minister happened to say that smart meters will not be obligatory. Now, I think that was a bit of a quick remark that he made, but of course the industry responded to that in that the market is no longer 50 million units, but the market is, well, we don't know what the market is, and particularly if the meter is going to conclude a shut-off, is your average consumer going to allow or going to opt for a meter that can remotely switch him off? I'm not sure. We haven't tackled yet. We believe that it should be mandatory, but the smart meter should serve the purposes of the consumer. In other words, the consumer is happy with the £500 or £600 that he's going to spend. And we're going to carry on lobbying to government and lobbying to the energy suppliers and working with all those who have a stakeholder in this, primarily those who probably don't have direct commercial contract with the energy suppliers yet, but would like to make sure that this money and this spend is going to serve the UK as a whole. I'd like to give you a little example, and it's a bit of a personal one to me, and that is most meters today, most electronic meters, have this thing called a Flagport, and it's a little round digital port on the meter. It's a very, very low-cost thing, a couple of little LEDs, arrows pointing to them there, but most meters have them, and it makes sure that data is accessible to whoever needs it, providing they have the right password and the right privilege. Now, there is a move at the moment to ban this port for security reasons. Now, there's no proof that the port does, in fact, breach security, but there is a plan to ban it, to replace it completely by radio, by RF. And I would say an RF system that hasn't yet been designed and hasn't yet been specified. We've been doing trials, and the Zigbee 2.4 gigahertz system doesn't work in 30 to 40% of the premises in the country. So we're very, very concerned about this. It's personal to me because I was one of the inventors of the Flagport in the mid-80s. So I guess that's a bit of a personal hat I have. But anyway, we believe that that's an example of how technically you can the government and the industry can be influenced technically for commercial gain. And we've got to face it. The UK is actually unique. I've got a few minutes, and then I'll dry up, Alan. The UK is unique in that the supplier, the energy supplier, is the hub. So the energy supplier is the contractual hub for metering. Nowhere else in the world does this. It's the networks company that in most other places. So the energy supplier is looking for value all the time to the value that he can add to this offering. And at the same time, and here's the dichotomy, he's got to help you reduce the commodity that he provides you on which his profit is based on. So there's the challenge. Now, I see it, and I think suppliers will see it, and they are beginning to see it, that it is a two-edged sword. And if you have a system in there that works and that benefits consumers as well as suppliers, then suppliers will immediately start looking up and making sure they're in on the act and giving you the service that you need and deserve. But if we have a system that just favours suppliers, that's polarised towards them, that we're being required to pay for, one, you'll get so much opt-out. Two, you'll get, you won't get the ownership from the consumer we require. And thirdly, the suppliers will remain in this kind of untrusted kind of area that they are, which they shouldn't be actually. Suppliers want this to work as much as anybody else does. So that was it really. I've just started up this open pipe group to help sort this out, help lobby this and help engage more with consumers. I've got some flyers here. Stacey has said that I can leave them at the back, so you can pick one of those up. It's very low cost to join, and we believe that together we will be able to influence this market and this rollout. It's going to start in 2014, and by 2019, the plan is every home in the country will have one of these, or two of these meters, a gas and electricity meter, at a total cost of £12 billion. Thanks very much, Alan.